Hello guys, welcome to my channel. If you want to know how I achieved this beautiful peplum, this beautiful standing wavy peplum, please stay tuned to the channel because I'm going to be showing you how to do that. So guys, the first thing you need to do when you want to cut this type of peplum is to determine how full you want it to be. So I'm going to be explaining the different methods of cutting flare first. The first one is 180. I'm going to be starting with 180 peplum flare. Actually, this peplum we're cutting is called 720. I'm going to be explaining why it is called the 720 peplum flare, because you need to understand that before you can go ahead to cut it. So if you're cutting a 180 peplum, you're going to need to fold your fabric into two, the way I did in this video. You're going to be folding your fabric into two. And if you're cutting a 360 peplum flare, you're going to need to fold your fabric into four. That means you fold into two first, then you fold again to make it four. So yes, I've gone ahead to do that now. So I folded my fabric into four. Now I'm going to be doing the calculations now. So my waist measurement is 29. So I'm going to be working with waist measurement 29. So actually, if you want a fuller flare, there's a way you're going to do that, but please stay tuned. So I'm going to be explaining how you're going to achieve that later on. But before I do that, I'm going to be explaining to you how you're going to get your basic flare. So I call it basic because you're just going to use your basic waist measurement. That is your normal waist measurement. You're going to be dividing that by 2, which I did here, and I got 14.5. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be dividing 14.5 by 6.28. When I did that calculation, I got 2.30. So now I'm going to be using that 2.30 to form my arc measurements. So you're going to place your tape rule in that manner, and you're going to get your 0.2.30, and you're going to mark, and you're going to connect the points. So after doing that, you're going to get the length of the flare. The length you want actually depends on individual preference, but in this tutorial I use 6. The video in this tutorial I would advise you use like 9 or 10 to get that long length. So now this is that you're going to be cutting it along those lines, and you're going to be cutting 2 of this to get your basic 720 peplum flare. This is I call this basic because it does not have any pleats added to it. If you see in the video I showed you, the peplum has several pleats which gave it that full wavy effect. So now if you want to add the pleats, you're going to be doing some calculations. Don't worry, it's not so hard, it's just some simple calculations you're going to need to do. So now to get the full wavy effect, you're going to be multiplying your waist by 2. So here I'm using waist 29. I'm going to be dividing that, I'm going to be multiplying that by 2, sorry. You can go ahead and multiply by 3, but I would advise not to go over 3 because that would be like very much. So for this video I multiplied my waist by 2. So 29 times 2, I got 58. So 58 is my new waist measurement. So instead of using my previous waist measurement, which was 29, I'm going to be using 58. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is to divide 58 by 2. That gave me 29. Then I'm going to be dividing the 29 by 6.28, which is the calculation we use to get our 720-degree flare. The 6.28 is constant, so that is that. When I divided that, I got 4.6. So instead of me using the previous 2.30, I'm going to be using 4.6 to get my arc. If you don't want a very fuller flare, you can go ahead and use your normal waist measurement to do your division, but because I want a very full flare effect, so that was why I did this calculation, and it always works for me. So guys, I would like to hear your suggestion when you try this tutorial out, and give me your feedback and let me know how it goes. Thank you so much for watching. So if you have not subscribed at this point, please subscribe. So now I'm just going ahead to fold my pattern, and I'm going to be folding it into 4. You're going to fold it into 2 first, then you're going to fold it over to the other side and make it 4. Guys, please just follow this tutorial step by step, and you're going to be making a very beautiful peplum flare. Before you know it, it's always looks so beautiful anytime I make this for my clients, and this is the calculation I used, and it always works for me. So I hope you try it out. So now I'm going to be using my new arc measurements, which gave me 4.6. I'm placing my tape rule on that point, and I marked 4.6. Now I connected the points, and I'm going to get the length of my flare. Now I use 6 for the length of the flare. In the video I used 10-inch. You can use 9-inch, you can use 10, you can use 10.5, but I'll advise you not to go beyond 10.5 because it will actually look very weird, and I'll advise you not to go below. You can go below 9 depending on the length you want, but not too low, maybe like 6 or so. But it actually depends on what you want. So I've just gone ahead to cut that, and I'm going to be cutting 2 of this. So once I'm done with this, I'm going to be showing you the sewing aspects. So here I'm just folding my fabric again. Remember, we're cutting 2, so you're folding your fabric again, and you're going to place the first one on the folded fabric. You're going to trace it out with a fabric pen or chalk, whatever you have. You're going to trace it out, and you're going to cut. My pattern paper was not enough, so but I just needed to explain that. So now guys, we're into the sewing aspect. The first thing you need to do is you're going to cut. There's something we call the peplum stay. It's actually very thick, and it looks thick, but it's actually very soft and very free. Like it gives it that wavy effect. So this is called a peplum stay. You're going to be ironing it. You're going to be cutting it the same way you cut the pattern. I are going to be ironing it the way I did. So once you do that, you're going to want to trim off excess. If there's any excess, you're going to trim it off. Check your patterns, make sure everything is laying flat and correct, no rumples or anything. Then the next thing you're going to need to do is get your crinoline or crinoline or us air braid, whatever you call it. Then we're going to be using that later. The next thing you're going to be doing is you're going to be joining your fabric first. You join the sides together, you're going to join the other sides together. You're going to do the same thing for the lining. Sorry, I forgot, you're going to be cutting the lining the same way you cut the fabric, I didn't add any stay to the lining. It doesn't really need any stay. It's going to work perfectly because the stay on the fabric, I used Peplum stay. It's actually very thick and it's going to complement the lining very well. So I'm just sewing the lining, the sides of the lining, and I'm going to be showing you how to use the horsehair braid to do that. So now I'm going to be placing the lining on the fabric. This fabric I used Ankara fabric, and I'm going to be placing the crinoline on it the way I did. I'm going to sew all the way around till I reach the other end. If you have any excesses, just trim it off like that. Then I'm going to be showing you how to finish the edges. So you're going to turn it like that. You're going to turn the right fabric inside like that, so it covers the lining, and you're going to be sewing. You're going to do the other side the same way, and you're going to give it a good press. You turn it inside out, you're going to press it. So just watch the way I'm doing it. I'm going to start from the wrong side. You iron it properly. Make sure you iron it properly. You can use a steam iron for this, it works very well. You just take your time. It's actually very not too tedious. Just take your time with the ironing and you're good to go. So I'm just giving it a good press, and once I'm done doing that on the wrong side, I'm going to be ironing it on the right side as well. Guys, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. We're not done yet, just keep watching. So now please make sure everything is laying down flat perfectly, no rumples or anything. Make sure you iron it very well, and you're going to be trimming off any excess you have once you're done. So now you're going to be pleating it. Can you see the way it is, like is forming that effect that we want already? So you're just going to be pleating it. If you have a upper bodies, you can go ahead and just pleat it, then place it on your upper bodies. If you want this as a detachable flare, just go ahead and add a band to this, and you're good to go. So because I'm adding a upper bodies to this, I'm going to be adding it to that, and that is it, guys. We're done. So this is the finished look of it. Can you see how beautiful it looks? So beautiful. Thank you so much for watching. Glad you could join us on this tutorial. Thank you. Bye bye. See you next